Hello, Big Reds. This is Mr. Official talking. Hopefully you did well in your last quiz, but now we're transitioning to something else. You just got done being able to write an equation for a parallel or perpendicular line to an equation, actually to another line through a given point. Now we're actually going to be looking at the lines themselves, not the equations for the lines. So some of you might like that even better. So what we're going to do today is we're going to start with learning target 6. And learning target 6, it says I can identify and find the measure of the angle pairs. Let's see, turn this down for a second. Maybe this will work. I can identify and find the measure of the angle pairs formed by intersecting lines and by parallel lines on transversal. Alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, corresponding angles, consecutive interior angles, vertical angles, and linear pair. Whew, that's a lot of stuff. Okay, so let's start off on Geometer Sketchpad, a program I have. What I'd like you to do is to, hopefully you're listening. Oh, I don't want that menu. Let's get this menu. Let's put this to the side. Let's get this menu and I would like you to please write notes. Okay, let's start off with two lines. Two lines. I'm going to draw a line here. Okay, and a line here. Okay, and they're going to intersect at a point in the middle, right? All right, so we're going to put points in all these spots, and I'm going to label them just so that helps you a little bit. Whoa, got to increase the size here so you guys can see. All right, we'll get this in here eventually. There we go. Oh, much better. All right, great. So these two lines that intersect here, you could call them line AD and line BC. All right, and they intersect at point E. Well, you end up getting different angles here, okay? This angle right here, AEB, this angle right here, this is just any old angle, okay? But when I pair it with another angle, CED has a unique relationship. These are called vertical angles. So AEB and CED are called vertical angles, and I'll spell that. Okay. So vertical angles are angles when two lines intersect each other and they cross. Okay, the angles across from each other are vertical angles. So that's a vertical angle, and these are both vertical angles. They're across from each other. Okay, you could also have this angle over here, AEC, is a vertical angle to BEC, or I'm sorry, BED. Let's say that again. AEC is a vertical angle to BED. These are both vertical angles. They're across from each other. And these are both vertical angles. They're across from each other. All right, now let's put that to the side. Let's look at angle pairs, some more angle pairs. Let's talk about a linear pair. A linear pair is a pair of angles along a line that are adjacent to each other or next to each other, okay? And they end up being supplementary. So let's spell that out. Linear pair. Great. So linear pair would be two angles that are right next to each other along a line. So AEB is a linear pair with BED. These two angles right here are a linear pair. Okay? They're adjacent to each other along a line. Also, you could say BEA or AEB, either one. This angle right here is a linear pair with this angle right here. So AEB, AEC. These two are a linear pair. AEC and CED, these are a linear pair. And CED and BED, these two angles are a linear pair. So you can see when two lines intersect, linear pair, linear pair, linear pair, and linear pair. Okay? All right, so those are your linear pairs. So we have, again, vertical angles are across from each other, these two, or these two. These are vertical angles. And linear pair are adjacent to each other. These two, these two, these two, or these two. All right? Looks great. Now, we're going to transition to something else. So, I'm going to make two lines now, but they're not going to just be any two lines. Okay? We have this line right here, and I'm going to make a little construction here. I'm going to construct a parallel line. So that means when I move this, they stay parallel. Okay, now I have parallel lines, and I'm also going to make a transversal. Okay? Now you're probably wondering, what do I mean by, let's say it again, a transversal. Transversal. A transversal, what it is just a line that intersects two other lines. So this line right here is called a transversal. Okay. All right, important stuff to know. All right, so we got a bunch of angles here, and I like to use numbers because I think it's easier to use. So I'm going to use 1. Ooh, that's an A. I don't want that. We'll make a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, a 7, and an 8. I'll show you where we're going to put those. I'll just line them up. It doesn't matter where. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. So you're looking at this transversal intersecting these parallel lines, and they make 8 angles. Angle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Can you name some vertical angles here? I bet you can. Vertical angles would be 3 and 5, 4 and 6, 1 and 7, and 2 and 8. Those are your vertical angles. All right, linear pairs. How about that? 4 and 5, 5 and 6, 6 and 3, 3 and 4. Or 1 and 2, 2 and 7, 7 and 8, 1 and 8. Those are all linear pairs. Now we're going to talk about different angles. Let's start with what are called alternate interior angles. Interior, what do you think that means? If you said inside, you would be correct. Okay, so I'm going to cover up some stuff real quick. If it lets me. Or maybe it won't on this program. Okay. Nope. All right, well, just think of this. If I were to cover up these two right here, these two angles, and cover up these two angles, I would just have the angles that are inside the parallel lines. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. Watch this. All right, now I can write in it. Okay, now, again, I'm going to try to cover up this, cover up this. All right, so now I just have the inside angles. So again, I have alternate interior angles. That's what I'm trying to work with. So I'm working with just the angles that are on the inside. Okay, so look at the angles that are inside. There are 4 angles, right? 2, 7, 3, and 6. Now the angles that are alternate interior are the angles that are in alternate spots. So they're not next to each other. They're not next to each other. They're in alternate spots. So alternate interior angles would be 2 and 6 and 3 and 7. So 2 pairs of alternate interior angles. 2 and 6, 3 and 7. All right. Well, I'm going to change things up a bit, and I'm going to move this down here. And now what do you notice? I have angles that are on the outside. Guess what those are called? I bet you thought it was alternate exterior angles. They're called alternate exterior angles because they are on the outside in alternate spots. So can you guess what those would be? Well, if you said 1 and 5, you would be correct. Oops. 1 and 5 are alternate interior angles because they're alternate spots, and 4 and 8 are alternate exterior angles. All right, good. Okay, next thing we have is consecutive interior angles. I'm going to move these boxes back over here. So I'm going to spell that out for you. Consecutive interior angles. All right, consecutive interior angles. Consecutive, what does that mean? If you said next to each other, you would be correct. But these consecutive angles have no lines that separate them. Okay? No lines that separate them. So what would those be? Well, if you said 6 and 7, you'd be correct. 6 and 7 are consecutive interior angles. And also, 2 and 3 are consecutive interior angles. All right? Now, there's one more angle pair I want to talk about. And those are called corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are just angles that correspond. If you think of correspond, that means they're in the same basic position. So if I was to look at these 4 angles up here, and I was to look at these 4 angles down here, all right? You want to put together the ones that kind of match, that are in the same spot, okay? So if you look at one in this little group of angles, would be in the same spot in the one down here? Well, it would be 3, right? 1 and 3 are corresponding angles. Okay. All right, how about another pair? 2 and 4 are both bottom left. They're corresponding angles. Oops. Also, 5 and 7 are both bottom right, and 6 and 8 are both top right. All right. So let's recap here. Alternate interior angles are angles that are inside, 2 and 6, 3 and 7. Alternate exterior angles would be 1 and 5, 4 and 8, alternate spots. Consecutive interior, consecutive interior are in the same, are next to each other without anything separating them. So 6 and 7 and 2 and 3. And corresponding are in the same position. 1 and 3, 2 and 4, 8 and 6, 7 and 5. Okay? And that matches up with, we had, a linear pair before. Don't forget those. Linear pair, remember, angles that are next to each other along a line. And we also, remember, had vertical angles that are across from each other when the lines intersected. So these two right here and these two right here. All right, hopefully you've enjoyed learning the angle types. This will be applied later on when we do a bunch of stuff with triangles and different quadrilaterals and polygons with more than 4 sides. So this will come back over and over again. So please learn these 6 types of angles. Thanks, and go Big Dreads.